Hey, straight ahead, we're going to be taking to the field and talking some hardball. Then we're going to talk about the local wrestling scene as we go to the mat. Then we're going to get slammed by some Mad Rollin' Dolls who are going to be in to talk about their season as well. And we'll also talk about how to collect some baseball cards. That's all straight ahead here on the Sports News on CW 57 Sports. Hello and welcome to the Sports News, your 30-minute look into the tackles, hits, checks, and dunks that make up the local sports scene. I'm your host, Rich Reynolds. Let's hit the ground running. They're usually first in the standings and rankings, and this year, they're first putting out their 2016 schedule. I speak, of course, of the UW Whitewater football team, who will open their season on Saturday, September 3rd against the College of New Jersey at Perkins Stadium. The Warhawks have won 6 of the last 9 NCAA D3 championships and also have big dates on September 24th against Morningside, October 1st at UW Platteville, and October 8th, a big showdown at home against UW Oshkosh. The Warhawks finished last season a game away from the Stag Bowl. If you like your sports on ice, as Andy Williams would sing, it's the most wonderful time of the year as the WIAA released their brackets for the state hockey tournament. On the boys' side, teams that have earned first-round byes include top-seeded Middleton. Edgewood Sacred Heart netted a 2 seed. Waunakee and Janesville Craig Parker got 3 seeds on opposite sides of the bracket, while Verona Area landed a 4. Over on the girls' side of things, first-round byes belong to the 1-seeded Middleton Co-op. The Beloit Memorial Co-op grabbed the 3 seed, while the Sun Prairie Co-op checks in as the 4 seed. The tournament gets started this week for the boys and girls, with teams with a bye dropping the puck on either Thursday or Friday. If the hardwood is more your speed, the WIAA has girls brackets out, with the teams in D2 getting seeded before everyone else. Around here, the teams that get the first round off include Stoughton, whose Vikings are the top seed. Waunakee draws a 2 seed. Middleton and DeForest get 3 seeds in their respective brackets, while Monona Grove is a 4, and both McFarland and Portage chime in with 5 seeds and a bye. The girls' state tournament tips off next week, with the finals being decided at the Resch Center in Green Bay on the weekend of March 11th. And the state swimming and dive meet is this weekend at the UW Natatorium, and some local swimmers are making a splash, bad pun intended. Michael Draves of Middleton captured victories in the 200 and 500-yard freestyles at sectionals to earn automatic qualifying spots. Also, Sun Prairie senior Luke Hedu qualified in the 50 free and 100 breaststroke. Madison Memorial won team honors at the sectional, with senior and UW recruit Justin Temprano winning the 100-yard backstroke. For more information and all the 411 on our headlines, check out these fine websites. Stick around, we have a jam-packed show as we'll talk wrestling, sports memorabilia, roller derby, and we warm up to baseball next on the Sports News here on CW 57 Sports. And we get a chance now to talk about 2 of my favorite subjects, one of which is baseball, which is, of course, my all-time favorite sport, and the second of which is Team Heat baseball, which I love because my son Joey plays on the team. And we get a chance to welcome in Jeff and Lana Nelson from Team Heat Baseball and XL Baseball Academy. Welcome on in, guys. We've been looking at the website, looking at your facility, which is going to be opening pretty soon. Well, when are you looking to get open out there in Jefferson?
Well, right now we're under construction, so we expect to be open next couple months here.
Very cool, and the facility looks great. What types of programs are you looking to offer?
Well, besides our travel programs that we have for the last 10 years, we'll be offering camps, clinics, personal training for all levels, all age levels.
Now, if someone's interested in playing on the team like my son did, what should they do? What's the first step?
Go to teamheatbaseball.com, and we got information on there.
Yeah, check out there's all different types of information on what we offer, schedules, that type of thing. So we're pretty excited about it.
And tryouts probably coming up pretty soon too, is that right?
Well, we had tryouts in August, but we do have some openings for the 2016 season.
Okay.
So definitely get in touch with us, visit the website.
Absolutely, that's how Joey did it. So now I know the girls like to get involved as well. They like to play softball usually a lot more. Are you going to be offering softball now?
Yes, definitely. That's our next goal. We'd love to offer that, and that's what we're planning on doing.
In 2017.
Okay, and what is the future for XL Baseball Academy and the actual XL Sports facility?
Well, this is just the phase 1 program that we have, or the facility. Phase 2 will be adding to the complex, which will involve tennis courts, additional basketball courts, fields. We'll be running tournaments for baseball fields. It's exciting. Currently, there'll be virtual golf.
Yeah, full complex. I mean, full baseball complex.
Yeah, I think that's all pretty cool. I think it's also really cool, like my son and I did a college visit as well, and basically that's what Team Heat helps people do and develop into that. You even offer some video services, is that right?
Correct, yep.
Yeah, and a college kid that's going to be playing for the Mallards. Tell us a little bit about that.
Ben Rotovet was with us for quite a few years.
And he's from Verona.
He's from Verona. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see him going to play for the Mallards. And it'll be pretty neat, really neat.
Absolutely. I'll actually get to say his name then when he plays for it. So I think
exactly.
that's really cool as well. So very excited about that and glad that you guys took the time to be here again. Jeff and Lana Nelson from the XL Baseball Academy and Team Heat. Check them out online at teamheatbaseball.com. Jeff and Lana, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
And we take to the mat right now as we talk Middleton High School wrestling as Kent Weiler, the head wrestling coach, joins us now on the Sports News. Coach, welcome on in. Let's talk about the season so far. Kind of summarize it, if you will. How's it been going?
I think this season's been going quite well. We only lost one duel in the conference, and that was to Janesville Craig for the conference championship. It's a little bit disappointing as that goes, but we had a lot of young kids on the mat, so the future is pretty bright.
Coach, what were some of the highlights that you've seen so far this season?
Well, I think a couple of my highlights are, one, all the freshmen that we have in the team that we have wrestling varsity. At any given time, we had 7 or 8 freshmen wrestling varsity. Another couple highlights are 2 kids. Are Chris Rogers at 132 pounds, and then Kevin Miker at 126, who's a freshman. Kevin's got over 30 wins, and Chris also does too at this time.
Good stuff. I like to see your young bloods get into there a little bit. Talk about the regionals, if you will. How did those go?
Yeah, that went well yesterday. There's 14 guys on our roster. Everybody placed in the top 5. We're sending 9 guys into the sectional tournament next week. 1 champ, 3 seconds. The champ being Kevin Miker, who's a freshman at 126. Chris Rogers was runner-up at 132. Max Mayhew at 152 was also a runner-up. And then we had another freshman at 195 pounds. Gavin Adler made it to the finals, and he's also going to the sectionals in 2nd place.
Yeah, talk about the sectionals a little bit and the state tournament. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously this time of year is the most difficult when it comes to wrestling. It's kind of the do or die type situation. When we get into regionals next week, sectionals next week, the guys just have to bring everything they have. It kind of comes down to who wants it the most. A lot of these kids have been working a lifetime to get to this situation, to qualify for the state tournament or get on the podium at the state tournament. And they just have to, wrestle in the moment and wrestle hard and wrestle as hard as they can for as long as they can.
You had some young wrestlers this year. If you had to make a guess, a prediction, if you will, where do you see Middleton wrestling in a year from now?
Well, obviously, we have 17 freshmen on the roster right now, and like I said earlier, we were wrestling 7 or 8 of them on a regular basis. I'm pretty excited about the future. I think that if we can continue with these numbers and with their athleticism and what they do in the off season, kind of shows what's going to happen next year. I'm really excited for the next few years of Middleton wrestling. Coach
Kent Weiler from Middleton High School stopping by to talk wrestling. Coach, thanks for joining us. Next time, bring Joe Miller in a singlet along with you.
That would be great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We will be back. You are watching the Sports News here on CW57 Sports. Welcome back as we head into another part of the sports world, and that is the part of sports memorabilia collecting as we bring in Jim Schaefer from Jim's Card Corner. Jim, welcome in. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for quite a while through the Madison Mallards, so nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, and let's talk about some sports collecting. Now, for me, when I was a kid, it was just baseball cards. I think collecting's a lot more than that, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's really expanded.
Into what other areas besides cards?
Autographs, memorabilia, cards, bobbleheads.
Now, if I was looking to get started now, if I'm going to say, hey, I want to get into sports memorabilia collecting, where and how do I get started?
I do a little homework first, find out what your interests are, stay within those parameters, and go from there. If you need some help, you could always call one of us that have a brick and mortar store, and we could help you out.
Yeah, and speaking of helping you out, how do I know about grading or authenticity? How do I know what I'm buying is actually what I'm buying?
You have to do a lot of research yourself, deal with people that are trusted in the industry, just go from there. That we're there to help people as well.
Jim, what are some of the services that you offer?
We sell memorabilia cards. We do appraisals. We'll help people find stuff. We'll fill want lists and what have you.
Okay. And then I noticed that you also have some stuff with you today. What are some of the items that you brought in? Because I think a big part of sports memorabilia collecting, if you will, is just having some cool stuff.
Yeah, one of the things I've got here, I've got a check that's signed by Ty Cobb, and we also have the paperwork that goes with it that assures that this is real.
Okay.
This check is graded a Gem Mint 10, so that's about as good as it gets. I also have, this is a full ticket from the 1961 World Championship Packer football game against the Giants.
Wow. So that was the first one of Lombardi's, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's really big. Notice you got some baseballs with you too?
Yes, I do. I've got a Bob Uecker here that comes with a certificate that says it is what it is. I also have a Chris Bryant, which comes with a rookie certificate. James Spence just started doing that in the last year. I also have a Robin Yount, and we also have a Mike Trout that comes with a full letter.
So a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I love that you bring that stuff in. It's always cool to talk about that kind of stuff as well, and a lot to check out. So check out, you got the brick and mortar stores over on University, right?
Correct.
Check him out. It's Jim Schaefer from Jim's Card Corner. You can also find him online as well. And Jim, thanks for stopping by.
And thanks for having me.
We go back to the mat and talk some wrestling. In fact, Monona Grove McFarland Wrestling, as we bring in head coach Doug Peterson, and along with him, he's got some wrestlers, including Zach Long, Alex Edmonds, and Caitlin Gunderson. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on. Hey, Coach, talk a little bit about your program and the MGM program. Where do you expect it, and how do you expect it to grow over the next couple of seasons?
Well, this being our third year of active wrestling with our co-op, I think the youth program has done a very good job of getting wrestlers out in the younger stages, and they've developed on, and as they become 8th grade and freshmen, it starts to build our program.
You guys are in a very tough conference. How have you been able to find success in that conference?
Just trying to be the best we can on a daily basis. It's a long process. It's a grueling season, but step by step, we've managed to get better from last year to this year. So it's a daily process.
Question for Zach now. Hey, Zach, you're making it back, I guess, the second trip to sectionals. What do you hope to achieve?
I basically just want to get further than I did last year in the tournament, because last year I got out of the tournament pretty quick because I lost my first match. So this year I hope to change that. It's not going to be easy because I'm going to have to verse a pretty good guy in my first match, but I basically just want to get further than I did last year. So.
It's never easy. And sitting right next to you there is Caitlin. Caitlin, for you, share some, I guess, of your successes being, a female high school wrestler for one, and your goals for the girls' state competition.
Well, my biggest accomplishment this year is probably taking first at the Badger Conference JV. And I look forward to getting further in girls' state than I did last year, where I took second. I hope to take first this year.
Yeah, we hope so too. And, looking ahead to Alex there, what was the toughest part of the season for you?
For me, I think the toughest part of the season was wrestling some of the top-ranked wrestlers in the state. It was good competition. I know where I need to be next year to be among the elite wrestlers.
I guess a question for everybody then, what are some of the best memories that you have of this 2015-16 season?
I would say the camaraderie I saw the two schools have between McFarland and Monona Grove, being that they're so close, kind of building relationships, as well as our staff with Coach Becker and Coach Gran and myself. We try to continuously do things to let the kids have fun and kind of be themselves, but also, again, a very grueling season to try to be successful as well.
Hey, good luck to you. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time, and we roll on here on the Sports News on CW57. And welcome back to the Sports News as we roll on, literally right now, with Girl Friday and Ginger Snap from the Mad Rollin' Dolls. Welcome in, ladies. How you doing?
We're great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Got a little of a Star Wars theme coming up, I think, for you ladies out there, and it's the first time you actually get to square off all season. What are you expecting?
Well, I think it should be a pretty exciting game. The last two bouts that we played against each other last season were some of our nail biters. Lots of lead changes, really competitive, hard-hitting action. The Quad Squad is currently undefeated for this season, but I think we're expecting a really fun challenge from the Unholy Rollers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the actual Star Wars theme, too, is called Too Hoth to Handle. What does that mean? What could fans expect?
Yeah, so it's a take on the ice planet in the Star Wars movies. So you can expect a really, really fun bout. We're having some Star Wars related activities, including a costume contest, as well as visitors of the, oh my gosh, what's their name?
The Wisconsin 501st Garrison, I think they are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're about 20 folks in Star Wars costumes, or sorry, Stormtrooper costumes even, and so they'll be adding some flair to our event.
Very cool. Now, for people that haven't been out to see roller derby yet, a lot's changed, I think, since the roller derby that people might have seen in the 70s and 80s. How has the sport evolved? What can people look for?
Well, I think people who may have seen roller derbies in the 1970s will be a little bit surprised by what the game looks like today. It is truly a sport, and even since its inception as a new inception in the early 2000s, we've seen a lot of changes to how the game is played. Offense is a lot more important these days, and we're actually beta testing a new rule. The skaters all over the world sort of vote on what their rules should be, and we're checking out some new stuff. We're going to be trying it out. Seasoned fans will maybe see some things going a little differently, and it's going to be a little exciting, I think.
Yeah, very cool. Now, what are some of the reasons why you got involved with roller derby in the first place? It's not something that's a typical path for most girls.
Correct. I think the great thing about roller derby is it's more than just a sport. It's a very welcoming community, and that's actually what draws in a lot of women. A lot of the players and volunteers have not necessarily been involved in organized sports beforehand, but because the community is so welcome, it's a really, really good opportunity for people to reap the rewards of competitive organized sport in the community that surrounds it.
Absolutely. Check them out. They're too hot to handle. It's Girl Friday and Ginger Snap, part of the Mad Rollin' Dolls, and you can find them right at the bottom of the screen right there on how to take advantage of that. We will be back to the sports news. The kids call us TSN here on CW57. And thanks for watching the sports news, as we want to also send a thanks out to our good friends over at the Red Zone. Rick and the guys over at the Region. You want to catch some sports action and some of the best pub food in town, you got to go to the Red Zone on Regent Street or check them out online at redzonemadison.com. For the sports news, I'm Rich Reynolds.